Can I have a moment of silence? A moment of silence for my son and the thousands of other men and women who have been murdered in prison, for their little brothers and little sisters and mothers and fathers who will never see him again. Can I have a moment of silence for the man or the woman who was probably forced to make decisions long before they were capable of making good decisions, and they made these decisions and they sent their lives on a trajectory that ended them in prison? Can I have that moment now, please? I want to thank CCA for providing me with this platform to keep my son's story alive. I want to thank my higher power for giving me the courage to fight for justice for my son and for every other son and daughter that are behind bars. And I want to thank that little girl right there. She made me put on this hat. Because every time I think about the atrocity that happened with my son, thoughts of her is the only thing that can restore me to sanity. It's the only thing that tells me you still got reason, you still got purpose. My name is Robert Ricks, and I'm the father of the late Robert Brooks. That sounds crazy to me. My son was 35 when he went to prison. He was 43 when they murdered him at Marcy's Correctional Facility. I was 24 when I went to prison, 26 when I came home. And I knew that I knew that I knew that I wasn't about to do another day behind bars. 18 months of humiliation and degradation was more than enough for me. I came home with thousands of dollars worth of traffic tickets and no license, thousands of dollars worth of child support, and finding a job was like looking for a needle in a haystack, but still, I had a made-up mind. I wasn't about to do another day behind bars, and that was 37 years ago, and I have not seen the inside of a jail cell since. I had no desire to march, chanting no justice, no peace, nor did I have a desire to scream, say his name, while carrying a poster with his picture and his expiration date. However, today, this day, everything, every fiber of my being wants nothing but justice for my son and reform. That's it. That's all, and nothing else. But if the only thing that comes as a result of this murder is that my grandsons receive a check, we have failed, and his death would have been in vain. I believe that my son died so that your son, your daughter, your mother, or your father may live and come home erect and not in a body bag like my son did. This is the thing that gets me the most. My son was arrested and held in the county jail without bail until he was sentenced to 12 years in prison. He committed a crime that did not result in the loss of life, but he committed a crime. And bail was denied. This is how his denial of bail was explained to me. A person should be locked away and not allowed to coexist in a free society when their behavior has been shown to be a danger or a threat to other human lives. Let me repeat that. A person should be locked away and not allowed to coexist in a free society when their behavior has been shown to be a danger or a threat to other human lives. Can I see a show of hands of the people who saw the video of my son being beat to death? Thank you. That video shows a group of prison guards who are indifferent and intolerant, to say the least, but so much so that they are willing to kill as a result of their intolerance. They murdered my son on video and acted as if it was just another day at the office. Please allow me to repeat. A person should be locked away and not allowed to coexist in a free society when their behavior has been shown to be a danger or a threat to other human lives. Those guards are dropping their kids and their grandkids off to school today, having beers with their buddies at the local bar and grill today, working with the district attorney's office, trying to figure out a way to get away with murdering my son on video. That sounds like the tale of two cities. In my 62 years of life, I have never witnessed a more sadistic, heinous crime. On August 3rd, 1857, Frederick Douglass delivered the West Indian Emancipation Speech in Canandaigua, New York. In that speech, he said, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress." He also said, "Power concedes nothing without a demand. But we can't only demand when there is a knee on her neck, or when her house is riddled with bullets and she's dead, or when his toy gun is mistakenly taken for a real gun and he is shot down in a playground, or when he's been beaten to death and is caught on video." Monday through Friday, we are the first hired. We are the first fired and the last hired. Every day there is taxation without representation. Every day poverty and hopelessness have our kids standing on corners selling poison and murdering each other. Because of the way the system is set up, the have-nots will go to jail. The deck is stacked and the cards are marked. But these excessively long prison sentences are absolutely inhumane and unnecessary. After 18 months of being devalued, disrespected, and humiliated, I had had enough. I was never going to put myself in a position to feel that again. And the 8 years in jail that my son did of his 12-year sentence was more than enough. And I knew it was enough. He wasn't getting better. The first few years, he was doing the time. He got his GED and a sign language certificate. He had taken maintenance classes and horticulture classes. He was getting ready to come home. But then time started doing him. I could feel it when we talked on the phone or when I visited him. But he would never complain. "I'm good, Dad. I'm just staying out the way," he would say. "And I'm looking forward to coming home. I want to use my experience to help kids stay out of this place." I was invited here today to support the Second Look Act. My son wasn't a killer. He really wasn't even violent. The disease of addiction runs deep in my family. My grandfather killed my grandmother in a drunken stupor. My mother was a weekend alcoholic. My daddy was an everyday drunk. The disease of addiction ran deep in my family. The disease of addiction had my son by the short hairs, and one day he lost it. The last time I seen my son free, I went to visit him at his mother's house. He wasn't himself. When he got arrested, I had to call our mayor to make them give him some meds. He wasn't himself. But what I know is that he had repented. He had asked forgiveness for the woman he had harmed and was ready for his second chance long before they murdered him. For the last 32 years, I have worked with at-risk kids. I'm the founder of a youth organization called Mentors Inspiring Boys and Girls. I work with 125 to 150 kids a year. In my program, we touch and change lives. My son would say, "I want to do what you do, Dad." I'm a member of the Second Chance Club. My son was denied his second chance. I believe that if we had laws like the Second Look Act in place when my son was incarcerated, he would have been home long before they murdered him, touching and changing lives like his dad. Thank you.